Love is not what you think it is. It is not the flutter in your chest, the sleepless nights, or the promises whispered in the dark. Those are merely echoes of something far more vast and far more terrifying. What you believe to be love is a mirage, a carefully constructed illusion designed to keep you from seeing the raw, unfiltered truth. That love, in its purest form, is not a feeling, but a force. A force that does not cradle you, but shatters you. Imagine standing before a mirror, convinced that the reflection is the entirety of your being, until the glass cracks, and suddenly, you see not one face but 1,000 fragments, each revealing a piece of yourself you never knew existed. That is what happens when the illusion of love breaks. It is not destruction. It is revelation. The love you have been chasing, the one sold to you in songs, movies, and hollow promises, was never meant to last. It was meant to dissolve, to force you into the kind of growth that only comes when you are stripped bare. This is not a pessimistic revelation. Hidden between these lines is a truth more liberating than any fairy tale. The breaking is the beginning. Just as a star must collapse to give birth to light, so too must your understanding of love implode before you can experience it in its truest form. The journey ahead is not for the faint of heart. It will ask you to question everything you've been taught, to discard the pretty lies, and to step into the kind of love that does not comfort, but transforms. Love is not what we've been led to believe. Beneath the surface of our romantic ideals lie fragile illusions we mistake for truth. The first illusion is that love completes us, that we need another person to feel whole. But the truth is, you are never incomplete. This myth creates dependency, not real love. As Buddha wisely said, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. When we seek completion in others, we ignore the work we must do within ourselves. The second illusion is that true love never changes. We cling to the fantasy of permanence, refusing to accept that all things evolve. But as the ancient philosopher Heraclitus observed, the only constant in life is change. Real love isn't static. It grows, adapts, and transforms. Trying to freeze love in time is what makes it wither. The deepest relationships are those that allow space for growth, even when it means letting go of old versions of each other. The most dangerous illusion is confusing intense emotion for deep love. Society teaches us that love should be dramatic, even painful. But as Osho reminds us, love is not about possession. It's about appreciation. The fiery passion that burns quickly often leaves only ashes, while true love glows steadily like enduring embers. What we often call passion is really fear. Fear of loss, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough. The ultimate truth about love is this: it begins within. The Stoic philosopher Seneca put it simply: to love others, you must first love yourself. We waste our lives searching outside for what can only be found within. Love isn't something you get from another person. It's something you cultivate in yourself and then share. This realization changes everything. It transforms love from something we chase into something we become. And that kind of love, the love that starts with self-awareness and grows through genuine connection, is the only love that truly lasts. There exists an ancient alchemical text describing the process of transmuting lead into gold. Few understand its true subject wasn't metallurgy, but love. The lead represents our base, childish understanding. Love as possession, as security, as emotional barter. The gold, That emerges only after the fire. Consider the phoenix, that mythical bird that builds its own funeral pyre. We've romanticized its rebirth while ignoring the crucial first step, its willing immolation. Your current idea of love must meet the same fate. Like the phoenix, you clutch to familiar branches even as they smoke beneath you, terrified to release what's already burning. But here's the secret hidden in the flames. The fire isn't your enemy. It's the crucible that separates the eternal from the ephemeral. The ocean offers another cipher. Most stand at the shore, content to let love's waves lap at their feet. But real love demands you dive into the riptide. Yes, it will drag you under. Yes, you'll gasp for air. But in that terrifying surrender, you'll discover something extraordinary. You were never drowning. You were learning to breathe underwater. The illusion shatters when you realize the very element you feared would kill you is what reveals your gills. These aren't pretty metaphors. They're maps. The kind you read with skinned knees and dirt under your nails. Every culture's mythology whispers the same truth. What you call destruction is simply the universe rearranging you into something more capable of holding the love that actually exists, rather than the love you imagined. The moment of disillusionment feels like the universe has played a cruel joke. When the love letters fade to ink stains and the promises crack like dried glue, you stand amid the wreckage of what you thought was real. This is where most falter, mistaking the rubble for their final destination, rather than the cleared ground for new construction. The Stoics called this moment amor fati, the love of fate. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Modern psychology echoes this ancient wisdom. Studies on post-traumatic growth reveal that the most profound personal transformations often emerge from the ruins of broken expectations. The work begins not by rebuilding what collapsed, but by examining why it was unstable to begin with. 1. Your relationship to absence. Modern love has conditioned you to fear silence between two people, to mistake the absence of drama for the absence of passion. Yet, in Japanese aesthetics, ma, the space between things, is considered just as essential as the objects themselves. A 2017 study in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that couples who embraced comfortable silence reported deeper intimacy than those who relied on constant interaction. Learn to distinguish between the quiet of emptiness, a void demanding to be filled, and the quiet of fullness, a cathedral holding space for what words cannot contain. The Sufi poet Rumi wrote, "Listen in silence, for if your heart is loud, how will you hear the whispers of the divine?" Practice sitting with someone without performing affection. If it feels uncomfortable, you've found your first growth edge. 2. Audit your sacrifices. Not all compromises are equal. The ancient Greeks distinguished between pragma, mature, practical love, and mania, obsessive, possessive love. Research by Dr. John Gottman shows that healthy relationships involve bids for connection, not ultimatums for assimilation. That hobby you abandoned, that friend you slowly distanced from, that instinct you silenced. These aren't love's requirements, but its counterfeit. The Bhagavad Gita warns, "It is better to live your own destiny imperfectly than to live in imitation of somebody else's life with perfection. True love expands your world. It doesn't shrink it to a single point. Every healthy bond comes with a simple question. Does this version of love make me more or less myself? 3. Recalibrate your crisis response. Most relationships crumble not during storms, but in their aftermath, when the adrenaline fades and the real work begins. The Tao Te Ching teaches, new beginnings are often disguised as painful endings. Neuroscience confirms this. The brain's attachment system interprets withdrawal from dysfunctional dynamics as danger, even when it's liberation. Train yourself to recognize the difference between a bond breaking, irreparable fracture, a bond shedding what no longer serves it, necessary evolution. A 2020 study in psychological science found that couples who reframed conflict as an opportunity for growth rather than a threat were 40% more likely to sustain long-term satisfaction. Rebuilding on bedrock. This isn't about fixing what was. It's about building what will be. Shoshin, beginner's mind, applies here. Approach love not with fear of repeating the past, but with curiosity for what it can become. The practical magic lies in leaning into discomfort, where growth lives, honoring the space between people, rather than rushing to fill it. Loving from overflow, not depletion. As the philosopher Khalil Gibran wrote, let there be spaces in your togetherness. The love that emerges from this reckoning won't be the one you fantasized about. It will be the one you actually need. The Japanese art of kintsugi teaches us that broken objects become more valuable when repaired with gold. Modern psychology confirms this ancient wisdom. Research from the University of Tokyo shows that visible repairs actually increase an object's perceived worth. This is the alchemy of real love. Not perfection, but beautiful repair. Consider the phoenix, that mythical creature who rises from its own ashes. A 2022 study in Nature Journal revealed how certain salamanders can regenerate entire limbs, proving that biological rebirth exists in nature. Your heart possesses this same capacity. The medieval alchemists understood this when they wrote, "What burns shall purify, what shatters shall be remade stronger." The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, born a slave, taught that circumstances don't make the man, they reveal him. Modern trauma research validates this. The groundbreaking Adverse Childhood Experiences study shows how people can transform pain into profound resilience. Your broken relationships aren't failures. They're the kiln firing your emotional pottery. Buddhist monks have practiced Tonglen meditation for centuries, breathing in pain, exhaling compassion. Neuroscience now shows this practice literally rewires the brain for empathy. The love that survives disillusionment isn't the Hollywood fantasy. It's this deep, mindful connection that sees flaws and chooses anyway. The transformational call is this: become like the mycelium network beneath the forest floor. Scientists recently discovered these fungal networks can actually transfer nutrients between trees. Be the hidden structure that turns breakdown into nourishment. Your shattered expectations are merely making space for roots to grow deeper. As Rilke wrote, perhaps all the dragons in our lives are princesses who are only waiting to see us act, just once, with beauty and courage. The love waiting on the other side of this fire won't be what you expected. It will be what you needed. Will you take the first step through the flames?